Hello, this is Death is My Life, the place where we transform grief into belief, and where the veil between worlds feels just a little thinner. I'm Jolene, your guide through stories of love, after death, signs from beyond, end of life rituals, and the inner transformations that are awakened by loss. Settle in, open your heart, and let's journey into today's episode together. Take 2. Does consciousness survive after death? If you look across the entire span of human history, the overwhelming consensus is yes, in one form or another. Something continues beyond the death of the physical body. Maybe that belief exists because it softens the blow of losing someone we love. Maybe it helps us face our own mortality with less fear. Or maybe the countless stories, traditions, and cross-cultural similarities aren't coincidence at all. So the question becomes, is life after death simply a human ego trying to soothe itself? Or is there enough consistency, enough evidence through the stories and ancient traditions to suggest that consciousness really does carry on? Let's look at what the world's earliest civilizations believed, including the rituals they used to guide the soul on its journey. Ancient Egypt. The Egyptians believed the soul was made of multiple parts, the Ka, Ba, Ak, and more, each with its own role after death. The soul had to travel through the underworld and undergo the weighing of the heart ceremony. If your heart was lighter than a feather, you passed into the field of reeds, a near-perfect mirror of earthly life, but free from pain and suffering. If not, well, your soul experienced a second death, being devoured by the goddess Amet. Egyptian burial rituals were intense and deliberate. They included elaborate mummification to preserve the body as a home for the soul. Amulets, scrolls, and maps from the Book of the Dead, food, tools, and loved items were sent with the deceased for the journey. And tomb inscriptions were designed to magically protect the soul during the journey. Every detail mattered because any mistake could disrupt the soul's passage. Ancient Greece. The Greek belief also held judgment after death. Souls traveled to the underworld, ruled by Hades. The virtuous went to the Elysian fields. Ordinary people wandered in a dreamy, neutral realm. The wicked found themselves in Tartarus, which reminds me of Jason Momoa in the Dragon Show. So I don't want to go to Tartarus, but if Jason Momoa wants to hang out with me, cool. Greek burial rituals included placing coins in the mouth or eyes to pay the Charion for passage across the river Styx. Funeral burials included offerings. Mourning rituals were led by women who were seen as the guides between the worlds. It was traditional to visit graves with food, wine, and offerings throughout the year. Failing to bury someone properly meant their soul wandered restlessly. Ancient Mesopotamia. In Mesopotamian belief, all souls, bad or good, descended into a dim, shadowy underworld. There was no judgment, just a muted version of existence where souls retained memory, but there was no joy. Their burial rituals were deeply practical. Food and water were provided regularly to sustain the dead. Families kept altars for ongoing offerings. A neglected soul could become restless or even harmful. Proper burial ensured peace in the dusty underworld. Their entire system was built on reciprocity. The living cared for the dead, and the dead protected the living. I like that. Ancient China. The Chinese viewed the soul as dual. The Hun, yang, the ethereal aspect that ascends, and the Po, yin, the earthly aspect tied to the body or grave. Because of this, burial rituals were sacred and meticulous. The graves were placed according to feng shui. The burial garments included jade, coins, scrolls. Ancestral altars were kept inside homes. Ongoing rituals helped protect the dead and bring harmony. And burning paper money or paper houses sent resources to the spirit. If these rituals were neglected, the Po soul could become a wandering ghost, causing misfortune or illness. Ancient India, Hindu traditions. The soul, or Atman, is eternal in Indian philosophy. You reincarnate into new bodies according to karma. Vibration at the time of death affects how you come back in the next life. Side note, again, I really love the show My Name is Earl with Jason Lee. I think if you're, in a place of depression, it's a really good slapstick comedy to keep your mind off of things. But it's also really uplifting, even though it's silly, because, this common low-life criminal finds karma and he has to make amends to everybody on his list. So I love that in so many ways because of karma, and making amends is just really important for your soul's healing, I believe. Again, I am not sponsored by Jason Lee or the show, but you are welcome to contact me. My husband also skateboards, so maybe you guys can be friends. Moving on. In India, the burial/cremation rituals included, usually the bodies were cremated so the soul could be quickly released. The ashes were placed in sacred rivers, especially the Ganges. Mantras chanted were guiding the soul toward its next birth. There was a 13-day mourning period to support the transition. The soul eventually achieves moksha, the liberation from rebirth, merging back into universal consciousness. Ancient Norse Vikings. The Norse believed in multiple realms, with the soul's destination based on how you lived and how you died. Warriors who bravely fought might go to Valhalla or Folksvagnar. Most ordinary people went to hell, a peaceful, neutral underworld. And it's HE single hockey stick, not to be confused with HE double hockey sticks, the Christian version, which is a place of pain and suffering. Norse rituals were powerful. Ship burials included putting weapons, tools, animals, or treasures with the body. Cremation fires symbolize the transformation and release. Runes were carved to guide and protect the journey. The goods that were placed with the body reflected one's status and life work. Collective mourning rituals involved feasts and storytelling. Death was not the end. It was a continuation of honor, identity, and legacy. Buddhist beliefs, ancient and modern. Buddhism stands apart from every tradition above because it teaches anatta, the idea that there's no fixed, permanent self. You are a flow of changing processes through sensations, thoughts, memory, body, consciousness. So at death, there is no eternal soul that travels, but consciousness continues like one flame lighting another. This continued stream of consciousness is reborn according to karma and the mental state at the moment of death. There was at least 6 realms, including the human realm, animal realm, hungry ghost realm, hell realms, HE double hockey sticks, demigod realm, and god realm. Ultimately, the cycle ends in nirvana, a state of peace, freedom, and the end of suffering. It's not a place, but a liberation, a release from craving, identity, and rebirth. Buddhist burial rituals include chanting sutras to create calm, compassionate energy, washing and preparing the body mindfully, monks offering blessings, cremation or burial depending on the culture, 49-day prayers and offerings believed to support the consciousness through its transitional states, and merit-making, acts of generosity dedicated to the deceased. Everything centers on compassion and helping the consciousness transition peacefully. Exploring these ancient perspectives truly blew my mind. The common threads, the differences, and the rituals that human created to honor the great mystery of death. If you or someone you know has deeper insight into any of these traditions, or if there's a culture I didn't mention, I would absolutely love to have you on the podcast to share your wisdom. Because these conversations don't just teach us about death, they teach us how to live. Thank you for spending this time with me on Death is My Life, where we transform grief into belief. If this episode touched your heart or opened something within you, I invite you to share it with someone on their own path of healing. And if you feel called to help keep this work alive, I would so much appreciate if you support the podcast through a one-time or recurring donation. Every contribution helps this sacred space continue to grow and reach more hearts in need. Until we meet again, may you find peace, magic, and meaning in life and death.